I never meant to leave my wedding ring on the kitchen counter that night. It wasn't some bold gesture or planned rebellion. It had simply slipped off while I was washing dishes, and I forgot to put it back on. But when I walked into the kitchen hours later, after everything had fallen apart, I realized how meaningful that small mistake had become. My marriage, my trust, my very sense of being a husband, all left cold and lifeless on that countertop, just like that thin band of gold. My wife, Anna, and I had been married for 7 years. 7 years of shared routines, joint bills, family dinners, and quiet little moments that slowly build a life together. On the outside, everything looked fine. She still kissed me goodbye each morning. We still shared wine on Fridays. But something had shifted. She was on her phone more often, smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see. Her late nights at work became more common. Her perfume lingered in the hallway, long after she slipped inside past midnight. I told myself not to overthink it, that I trusted her completely. But deep down, the unease kept gnawing at me. One evening she said casually, "I'll be home late again. Big project at work." She kissed my cheek, grabbed her bag, and left. But there was something in her voice, in the way she avoided my eyes, that made my stomach turn. That was the night I decided to follow her. A choice that changed everything. It didn't take long to see the truth. I parked a few blocks from the fancy restaurant, where she claimed to be meeting clients. From across the street, I saw her step out of her car, not in office clothes, but in a short black dress I'd never seen before. Her hair perfectly styled, her lips painted deep red, a shade she never wore around me. Then a man appeared. He smiled at her, a smile too familiar to be friendly. And when he leaned in and kissed her right there, under the streetlights, I felt my chest cave in. My breath caught, my stomach twisted, but I couldn't look away. It was like watching a crash in slow motion. You know what's coming, but you can't stop it. That night, I didn't confront her. I drove home and sat in the dark, staring at the ring on my finger, wondering when it had stopped meaning anything to her. 2 nights later, it happened again. Anna told me she'd be late for work. She kissed me lightly, like she was kissing a stranger, and walked out the door. I tried to distract myself by doing dishes. The soap made my ring slip off again, and I set it on the counter. Something inside me cracked. I grabbed my jacket, left the house, and drove straight to that restaurant. This time, I didn't hide. I stood across the street and watched, as she sat with him leaning close, her hand resting on his like it belonged there. The pain and anger hit me all at once. I couldn't break down in public, so I drove home, my heart burning. When she came back that night, I was sitting in the kitchen. The ring still lay on the counter, shining under the dim light.
She froze when she saw me.
"Why are you awake?" she asked, her voice pretending to sound calm. But her eyes darted to the ring. I nodded toward it. "You tell me, Anna. Why should I even wear it anymore?" Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I laughed bitterly. "Don't insult me. I followed you." Her mouth opened, then closed again. "It's not what you think." "Don't say that," I snapped. "I saw you kiss him. I saw you hold his hand. You don't do that with a coworker." Tears filled her eyes, but they weren't tears of guilt, just fear. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "You don't accidentally betray your husband," I said, slamming my hand on the counter. "You don't throw away 7 years by mistake." Silence filled the room. She looked at me like I was a stranger, and maybe that's what she had become. "I haven't been happy, Mark," she said softly. "I didn't know how to tell you. You're steady, dependable, but I needed more. He makes me feel alive." Her words cut deeper than any blade. Steady, dependable, like I was a piece of furniture she'd outgrown. "So that's it?" I asked. "You cheat because I'm not exciting enough? You destroy everything because you needed a thrill." She flinched, but didn't deny it. I lifted the ring from the counter, holding it between us. "This used to mean something," I said. "To me, it still does. To you, it's just jewelry." She reached out to touch me, but I stepped back.
Don't.
You made your choice. That night, I packed a bag. She didn't try to stop me. Maybe she knew it was over. I checked into a cheap motel, sat on the bed, and stared at the ring in my hand. For the first time since I was 26, my finger felt bare. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I want a divorce, I said. But what came next, I didn't expect. When Anna realized I was serious, when she got the papers and saw I wasn't bluffing, she broke. She begged, she cried, showed up at the motel pleading for another chance. Mark, please. It was a mistake, she sobbed. He doesn't matter. It's always been you. I stared at her, trying to see the woman I once loved, but all I saw was the one who'd chosen someone else. You say it's me, I whispered, but when you had the chance to prove it, you didn't. You left me for scraps of attention. Now you're only scared to lose the life we built. Her tears fell harder, but I felt nothing, just emptiness. I placed the ring on the table between us. This belongs to the man I was, the man who believed in us. I don't know if I'll ever be him again. And I walked away. The weeks after were brutal. I'd wake up in that motel, with a weight on my chest, the silence louder than any argument. I missed her. I hated her. I wanted her back. I never wanted to see her again. Healing wasn't simple. Some nights, I almost called her. But then I'd remember that night. The dress, the kiss, the lie, and stop myself. Weeks later, I went back to the house to collect the rest of my things. The ring was still there on the counter, exactly where I'd left it. She hadn't touched it. I picked it up and slipped it into my pocket, not because I wanted it back, but because it reminded me of who I was. Before the betrayal, a man who loved deeply, trusted completely. That man had been broken, but he was still standing. Sometimes the end of a marriage doesn't come with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it ends quietly, with a ring left on the counter, cold and forgotten, while the person you love is in someone else's arms. But that ending changed me. It taught me that love isn't about clinging to someone who doesn't value you. It's about having the strength to let go, even when it tears you apart. I walked out of that house for the last time, the ring heavy in my pocket, and realized I wasn't leaving with nothing. I was leaving with myself. And maybe, just maybe, that was the beginning of everything.